Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with the latest 2 million credit guide to help you earn these credits as quickly and as easily as possible. So as you can see on the screen here, we are at Spa in the Audi R8 GT3 car. Now you can use any GT3 car that you like, whatever you feel more comfortable with. We're on racing hard tyres, no brake bias available. It is just a pure default setup, sprint on one lap, and yeah, get the fastest lap you can. So hopefully this will help you out. I'm going to go into a very in-depth guide to try and help you get these credits as quickly as possible, whether you're aiming for silver, gold or bronze, whatever you're aiming for. But yeah, if you do enjoy this video, if it helps you out, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. We do these every single week and hopefully we can help you earn more credits on Gran Turismo 7. So to enter this, you're going to go into sport mode in the top right hand corner. You'll be greeted with the online time trial section. From there you'll have two separate time trials. We already have the guide for the Mercedes on the channel, so you can check that one out in the 2 million credit playlist. But we're going to go into Spa and you can see there, I predict the gold is going to get down to about a 2 minute 20.5 because there was a lot of time left for me. I did a 17.4 and we only did 70 miles of drive, and as you can see there on the daily workout, didn't spend too long on this. So I think it's going to get down to like a 16.5, which will make the gold around about 20.5, and obviously you'll have to take time off the silver and bronze also. Now if you do want to chase my lap, you can obviously chase it within the time trial because we did set obviously a time in that top 10. So simply go into the time trial, load the leaderboard, and we're there as a saved ghost. So you can chase my ghost to try and help you improve your lap. Now I used weak ABS for this guide. I preferred it, rotated better, and I feel that there's a lot of potential with it. You can see this was our original lap was a 17.8, so we made a big improvement on this next lap, and I think we could have made more improvements as well, to be brutally honest, but pretty happy with this. Wanted to get the guide done. And yeah, we're going to add a few extra details into this guide, and hopefully if people like it, we'll carry on doing it. So into the braking zone, we're going to be looking to brake just around that 100 board there on the left hand side. So just as we're past it, we're onto the brakes, and you can see we've reduced our speed to 133 miles per hour, 214 kilometers an hour for people using that, and that's our maximum speed before we get on the brakes. Now we're going to downshift in a straight line and then take kind of a late apex because you want to get this car squared off to get a really good exit speed from this corner. So you can see at the apex, our lowest speed that we reach there is 39 miles per hour, 63 kilometers an hour for those using that. And then we're onto that throttle, aggressively on throttle. Now use first gear, then up to second gear. I tried going into second gear early, found that first gear gives you much better acceleration in this Audi R8. So get on that first gear, just be careful with the rear and obviously wheel spinning up. Now all the way through here, we're going flat out. It's all about taking a straight line as possible. So you can see here, we're going to use the curb and then just try and put smallest steering input in that you can to get your way through this corner. So just skim the curb on the right hand side, and then at the top of the hill you're going to aim to go straight over the curb. You can see you can really take advantage, get that right hand tyre up onto the curb and straight over there for the straightest line possible and the least amount of reduction in speed. Now at this point here, you can see at the end of the pit lane line there, we're hitting 154 miles per hour, 248 kilometers an hour. So if anyone wants to compare their exits from the tight turn 1 to there, you can check that. Now into the braking zone, we're going to be braking just before the curb on the left hand side there. So just before we come to this curb, you can see it there. Onto the brakes, 160 miles an hour top speed, 257 kilometers an hour, and we have actually rounded off some of these kilometers an hour because some of them were very close, so I had to do a bit of rounding off here and there just to try and get as close as for you as possible. Now into this braking zone, you can see we're going to try and get this right hand tyre to just clip the curb on the right hand side. So down to second gear, use some of the curb on the right, and our slowest speed at this point of this apex is 74 miles per hour, 119 kilometers an hour. And then again, a little dab of the brakes once we're back up to 79 miles per hour, 127 kilometers an hour. And then you're going to see we're going to start reducing that speed all the way through the corner. And then at this point here, you're at your lowest speed again, 71, 114 kilometers an hour, because you're back on that accelerator and trying to get the car back over to the left hand side of the track. You can see I was a little bit narrow here. The purple line was a bit more optimal, so probably lose a little bit of exit speed here. You can see as we're going in, we hit the brakes and you can see the line I'm on's not perfect. 93, 149 kilometers an hour. I'll point at which we hit the brakes there. And then as we go into the apex, you can see our lowest speed, 85 miles per hour, 136 kilometers an hour. As we're getting back on that accelerator, you can see we're back on the accelerator and we're going to start accelerating out of the corner at that point. Use some of the curb on the left hand side. You can get away with using that curb. Just be careful you don't use too much because it can unsettle the car a little bit. And now we're going into the next braking zone. Again, using the curb on the left hand side as our reference. as we hit the brake there. 127 miles per hour, the top speed, 204 kilometers an hour. And then we're going to try and get this car slowed down as much as possible. Now, stay in second gear is from my experimenting here. I tried to use first for rotation, but second gear seemed to keep the car rotating and keep a higher average speed through the corner. So just trail braking and letting the car coast to a point of the apex there. You can see there, that's the slowest speed we're going to be hitting, 57 miles per hour, 91 kilometers an hour. And then you're going to start seeing us accelerate through and accelerate out the corner, using some of the curb on the left if you need to, and then getting it back over to the right hand side, and if you can, right up close to that curb. And you can see as we're on the brakes, just under 100 miles per hour, 99 miles per hour, 159 kilometers an hour. And now we're going to start rotating it in. Now, you can stay in third gear here or downshift to second for a bit of rotation. I do think third gear might be the optimal if you can get it perfect, but I go down to second there. And then you can see our lowest speed is 82, 132 kilometers an hour. Maybe going into third gear and just keeping it in third might be a bit more optimal for that corner. Give it an experiment, test it out. Now we're going into this really fast left-hand corner. So as we go past the 50 board on the right-hand side there, you can see onto the brakes at 141 miles per hour, just past the 50 board onto the brakes, 227 kilometers an hour. Now we're going to let the car trail brake in slightly and then just come off the throttle and brake, let it coast. And then at this point, we're at our slowest speed, 105 miles per hour at our slowest speed, 169 kilometers an hour. And we're back on that throttle, accelerating all the way out the exit and then obviously into the next braking zone. So flat out now, all the way into the next right-hand corner, which we're going to be looking for, again, the start of the curb or the 50 board on the left-hand side, braking just short of that. And you can see maximum speed before we get to that braking point, 147 miles per hour, 236 kilometers an hour. And then again, this corner, you got to just let it get on the brakes. So down to second gear as you're going into this corner. So into third gear now, and then rotating into the curb. And then you're going to go down to second gear just as you enter the corner. Let it coast a little bit at this point, just letting the car carry the speed, the momentum. And you can see there, dropping down to 77 miles per hour, 124 kilometers an hour. Then back onto the throttle, accelerating out, and then just a little dab of the throttle at 90 miles per hour there, 145 kilometers an hour before we're getting into this next part, just for a bit of rotation. And you can see we're going to drop down to 79 miles per hour, 127 kilometers an hour, and then back onto the throttle. You can see the throttle already in there as we're accelerating out the corner, using some of the curb for the full width of the track, and then into next braking zone, braking before the curb on the left hand side. You can see quite early on the brakes, 115 at the point of hitting the brakes and 185 kilometers an hour. And now we're going to try and rotate this in. You want to try and get this car really rotated in. So you're going to see we're going to go down to second gear, trail brake, and at the point of the curb there, you can see we dropped down to 70 miles per hour, 112 kilometers an hour. But we're back on that throttle already at that point and accelerating out the corner. So we're going to gather that speed back up for this is a tricky corner. This is all about carrying as much speed as possible. So you're not going to hit the brakes. You can see no braking input going in. This is just a little lift off the throttle. So keep your eye on the throttle as we go into this corner so we can try and rotate it in. So a little lift off the throttle, just dropping down to like at 107 miles per hour. You'll see it briefly drop to 106, but we're back on that throttle and accelerating out there. Upshift to fourth a little bit early there, just so that it doesn't spin out on the rear. And now it's flat out all the way into the final corner. So the next left-hand corner is a non-corner in this car. You can just take it flat out. Just keep your inputs nice and smooth. So use the full width of the track again. Get your right-hand tyre up onto the green Astro if you can. And then just gently rotate it in, hitting that apex completely flat. No lifting needed at all for that flat-out left. Now into the braking zone. We're going to brake past the 150 board. Make sure you're braking past that. And you can see there, 160 miles per hour, 257 kilometers an hour, braking down into this chicane. And you can see we're going to keep it straight until we get the car slowed down, and then we can square it off and attack the curb on the right hand side. So first gear, use the curb on the right, get the car rotated over that, and then you can see there, that's our lowest point at this of speed at this point, 45 miles per hour, 72 kilometers an hour, and then a little bit of an increase there up to 47 before we're back on the brakes. And now we're going to start rotating it into this final corner. Now you can see here, this is the lowest speed of the final corner, 40 miles per hour. You're not going to go below 40 at any point. And then onto the throttle and accelerating out. Now I got a little bit loose here, lost the rear slightly, had to go up to second gear early, and then slightly missed my shift before the finishing line. Should have shifted a bit earlier. So maybe a tenth or more lost on that last corner, but not too bad the lap, considering we only did 70 miles to get to this stage. So pretty happy with the lap. Let's watch that in chase camera. Let me know in the comments as well if you like the addition of the speed during the apexes and obviously in the braking zones. Hopefully it'll give some understanding of where you're losing speed, because if you can compare it against yourself, you might see that you're a couple of miles an hour down or you might be going too fast and then having to lift off later in the corner. It's little things like that that might help your lap time. But yeah, let's watch this in kilometers now from the chase camera. Again, you can see how we square it off at the top of the hill, getting right over the curb, carrying maximum speed all the way into the next braking zone. And again, this corner here I really found that weak ABS was really strong through the middle sector with this Audi. It felt so good with it on the hard tyres. So you can see the rotation through here. You might have seen it with the Ghost as well in some of the corners, how I actually gained on the Ghost that I was chasing. So through there, really nice with weak ABS. Could have used more of the track there. You can see I turned in a little bit early. If I would have swung it out a little bit more, maybe there was a tenth or two to be gained just on these few corners if I really would have used the maximum amount of track. But second gear through here definitely worked really well. Don't go into first gear. I found first gear just kind of unsettled the car. So again, this corner might have been nice to try it third gear without going into second gear there. But yeah, if you want a bit of extra rotation, that second gear will help you out. Now, this is one of the corners where I really found the weak ABS very, very strong. You could just carry a little bit more speed through the corner, seemed to scrub a little less speed off as well, and I think it helped out overall. So I really enjoyed this car with weak ABS. You might want to try it with default. It is purely preferential. I think because it's on a neutral bias as well, I think weak ABS works quite well with the hard tyres with this car, so that might be one of the reasons it helped quite a bit as well for me. Again, using all the width of the track, you can see they're just up onto the green Astro. Try not to get up onto that green Astro on that exit there, because if you do, the car becomes unbalanced, it loses traction, and you're just going to lose lap time, and then it's completely flat out through this next left and into that final braking zone for that chicane. Very important chicane. This chicane is probably, I think I lost a tenth at least on this chicane. Normally you can gain a tenth if you get it, absolutely nailed, but you can see here as we get onto the throttle, so keep an eye on the rear of the car as we go over the curb. We go a little bit too deep, so pretty nice at that point. A little bit too aggressive on the throttle probably there. Lost the rear slightly and had to go up to second gear to stop it spinning, and then I missed the shift just before the line, so maybe a tenth of a second lost on the exit there as well, but nothing too drastic. A pretty solid lap. It's into the top 10. Hopefully that'll help you out when you're chasing it. We'll be back with one of these again next week. We'll also get the members VR guide up for this done, and also last week's one at some point in the next few days, so check them out on the channel also. Take care everyone.